welcome to the Great Awakening Ministry. I am Minister and Yogini John Lee, and on this week's show we have Sue Bushell. Sue is an Australian author, mythic storyteller and longtime student of Dru Yoga. Her work bridges ancient yogic wisdom and modern self-inquiry, guiding seekers towards embodied transformation through breath, story and inner stillness. She is the author of Radiant Bliss, a transformative yoga journey for the modern soul. It's a lyrical integration of yoga science, philosophy, and personal practice. Her follow-up work, The Gods Within, is an immersive online course and sacred workbook that leads readers through the archetypes of yogic myth, inviting personal transformation through meditation, reflection, and sacred narrative. Sue's blog, Radiant Bliss Yoga, was named one of the top yoga blogs of 2025 by Yovada. When she is not writing, Sue can be found whispering with the wind, practising Yoga Nidra, or tending the quiet altar of her soul.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Oh, so Sue, welcome to the Great Awakening Ministry.
Thank you. You're doing a marvelous job. It's great to be here.
Lovely. It's just wonderful. And a fellow yogini, Sue, I'm sure that we're going to have lots to talk about. And of course, your beautiful book, Radiant Bliss, a transformative yoga journey for the modern soul, which is, I think, very, very, very needed at this time, you know. So, Sue, I'm going to get going with all the questions.
Okay, that sounds great.
So, please tell us, Sue, yoga, which includes breath work and meditation and, stillness, and how can yoga be a tool for profound life changes?
Yoga is a tool for transformation because it helps us to understand who we really are and get back to the essence of our being. And I just think that's so important because in this day and age, so many people have lost all touch with any kind of soul, spirit, whatever you like to call it. And yoga is definitely one of the pathways that can take you back to your heart and back to your soul. And it's something I've been exploring for the last 30 years. And it's why I wrote Radiant Bliss, because I just wanted to help people understand how transformative yoga can be when it's taken up as a path.
That's right. It is, isn't it? Because the word yoga actually means union, doesn't it?
It means union.
Yeah.
Union of body, soul, and spirit, body, energy, body, and spirit, yes, which is what I get to in my book, where I talk about the 5 koshas, the layers of our being. And that just takes us to the heart of what yoga is all about. It's about becoming the essence of who we are, recognizing our true self.
Yes.
And I've loved it for 30 years now.
And what, in your words, is explain the true self as you see it?
It's our spirit, it's our soul, if you like. It's the part of us that we completely lose touch with until we learn how to meditate. I think most of us find that that's the best pathway, because you start to witness yourself. You become aware of your thoughts. I was never aware of my thoughts when I was growing up. I had a very traumatic childhood. For the first 20 years of my adulthood, I think I was just totally in my head without being aware that I was in my head. And I was letting my thoughts control me without ever fully understanding that in actual fact, I can control my thoughts and that my thoughts aren't what I am.
Yes. We are the soul consciousness behind our thoughts and feelings. We're the observer, aren't we?
This is exactly it. We're the witness. And then as you step back a little bit further from that, you can say, who is it that's witnessing this witness? Who is the real essence there that's just the underlying quiet presence. I always knew that there was something there, even when I was back in the days when I used to be quite tempestuous and anxious. Even in the days when I was losing my temper, there was one little bit of me that I knew was just quietly watching, not judging, not observing, not interacting with me in any way, but just observing what was happening. And that's what you need to get in touch with, I think. And that's what yoga can help us to do. Yeah. And I hope that's what Radiant Bliss is going to help people to do too.
Beautiful. And that is, that's our true essence, isn't it? That's that divine flame, the divine spark. That's the true higher self, the divine higher self that's always connected to the divine, whether you call that source, God, goddess, the angels, whatever you wish to call that, God consciousness, universal consciousness. We are always one with that. We were one with it before we was born, and then we come into this duality, the separation. That's why we're always wanting that union again, maybe with another soul, but ultimately with our true self.
Indeed. And I think that we start out, we're born with an innocence and in touch with our souls, and then just we get conditioned out of it as we learn to separate from mother and learn to start challenging the world and taking on all of the responsibilities and duties of the world. We just lose touch with that part of us. But I think we always know somewhere inside us that that's who we really are, or at least that's my experience anyway.
Exactly. And it's always drawing us back to it, isn't it? It's drawing us to come. And yes, it's beautiful. So, and how does yoga help us in our modern life? And how can it be integrated into our busy schedule to promote mental and physical health?
I don't think it takes that much if you can train yourself to just be aware of your breath every now and again, just a few seconds in a busy day. I used to, when I was working in an office, I used to go into the bathroom and do a little bit of breathing, or if I was getting ready for a meeting, I'd just sit and tune into my breath for a while. I think it's just a matter of getting the habit. Yoga isn't just stretching and doing physical poses in a yoga class. It's about just becoming aware, being awake. And of course, that's really hard to do. That's incredibly challenging, but it's the growth path that I think we all need to try to get on if we can.
Yes. And that's so beautiful that you said that, because it's so true. Because I think many people, they just practice the postures, in clubs, in youth clubs, and in gyms and things. But that's not yoga. That's not yoga. True yoga is the postures, yes, to help your body, but it's all a preparation for the pranayama, for the breath work, for raising the kundalini energy, and ultimately for the meditation. It's all a preparation for the meditation, for going within and for raising your energy to have that mergence with that divine love light energy within, isn't it?
It is. I was just rereading something from my first guru this morning, though, who said that it depends whether you believe this, of course, but I believe that we just keep coming round and round and round to this earth over and over again. But he says that it takes 20 to 30,000 incarnations before you even become interested in awakening. And I just find that fascinating. So I guess it means that people like you and me, Joanne, are just old souls.
That's it, Sue, for sure. That's just like, wow, isn't it? And I've always had that divine calling like you, from a very young age. And I think that yoga and the integration of that and meditation in your life is the magic that we're all missing in our lives.
Absolutely. There are places like in Finland, for instance, I think they teach meditation in schools now. And there are some, even in America, I think there are places where they teach meditation in schools. And I would just love to see more of the Western world adopting that approach, because there's so much we can learn from our Eastern counterparts. Their wisdom is just something that we've ignored for far too long, I think. I
Yes.
try to get into that a lot in Radiant Bliss, about the wisdom and of the ancient rishis and just how much they understood.
Oh,
Astonishing.
the philosophy, and it is just of yoga. And Patanjali, who was one of the oldest, well, it was like 400 BC that he actually were the first pictures of people in yoga postures. But his aphorisms was talking about the brain waves all them thousands of years ago. The Bhagavad Gita was written, they reckon, about 8,000 years ago, which I've read so many times. But it's just amazing. It's astounding how to know God.
Yeah, yep. And they knew that we were basically just energy, and that we were spirit having a human experience rather than humans having a spiritual experience. They knew all of that. They understood it. And they didn't have, microscopes or any of the scientific instruments that we have today to understand these things. That's absolutely right. Remarkable.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Of course, if you'll believe some people, they will say that this was all spiritually transmitted from the divas and devas. So who knows?
Yeah, that's a because we know that there have been lots of scientific studies done on meditation that have, when lots of people come together and they meditate, they give that positive energy out and the crime in that city comes down. So many scientific studies done on that.
And we very often in our Sangha will do group meditations for people who are ailing, and there have been some astonishing stories of cures that people who were on the verge of death, and a lot of chanting and a lot of focused prayer, and they're up and about, and it's just amazing.
It is, and I think prayer is I think that's a scientific practice, and I think meditation is a scientific practice as well. It's spirituality and science are both the same. We're coming together to learn that, they overlap one another. And when I go within and I touch that divine love light energy, I'm bringing that light into my body. And I know that light is from God, and it's healing and awakening all of my cells into a higher vibration. And as I bring that in, after I've done that for a while, and I feel that I'm coming to the end, then I give that out and I push it out with my hands, because we have chakras in our hands that give out that energy to the whole world. And I know that that's doing good, from my my tiny little house in my tiny little suburb, but that is going out because you're giving that to the world. And as you say that, as you give it out, so shall it be.
Absolutely. We have a weekly yagna in our Dru community where we chant and send out healing to the world, as well as all of the people in the Dru community, of course. But yes, mostly sending it out to the world. And I'm absolutely convinced it makes a difference.
Definitely. And if more people realise that, also, I truly believe the more you give out and you are of service to humanity, the more enlightened, the more you raise your energy and the more enlightened you become. It's a natural process.
Well, that's what we're here to do, isn't it? That's our dharma in life, is to give to the world and use what gifts we have to make a difference to our fellow human beings. And yoga can be such a heart-centric practice, can't it? Where you can just raise your compassion, and there's nothing more healing than gratitude and compassion in my experience.
Exactly. And like all the rishis of the old, it's really like the enlightenment process and awakening, and all the rishis of the old, they used to go in the mountains and sit there for like 40, 50 years and just meditate and just reach nirvana, and do all of their work. But the world, I believe the world is in such a crisis that it's changed. So we are doing our work. We are healing ourselves. After 30 years, you've written this book, Radiant Bliss, a transformative yoga journey for modern soul, because you're giving that out to the world, because you know that the world needs healing. We're not staying in our caves all of our life just for personal transformation, just for personal awakening. We have to get to that point where we have to give that out to awaken the world.
It took me a very long time. I wrote the book, but it took me a very long time before I found the courage to launch it out into the world, because
Really?
I'm quite a retiring person. I'm not comfortable being out there. But of course, once you've got a book, once you've written something like Radiant Bliss, you then have to go out and tell the world about it, because otherwise you might as well not have bothered. So, yeah, but I've come to accept that that must be my swadharma, is, my personal responsibility to share that gift with the world. So, and if it lands and helps to open a few hearts and minds, I will be absolutely delighted. But I think all I can do now is say, I've written you Radiant Bliss. You're out in the world now. Let's see how you manage and see how many hearts and minds you can touch.
And I truly believe that it's the divine will. Yeah. And I believe books have karma, and I believe they have their own journey. They will go out anyway and touch the true people's hearts that they need to touch,
Well, I've never felt more than when writing the book, that sense of I'm not really the doer.
Sorry. I have to go. Sorry. Sorry, I have to close my window. So hot. It's just like, sorry. Carry on. Sorry.
I'm jealous. We're breaking up a bit as well. The Gita says that we are not the doers, are we? We're just the instruments of the divine. And I just felt that book was channeled in many ways. I feel less like the author of Radiant Bliss as just the channel that it came through.
Wow. Well done. That's really important to give it out. It's so important, isn't it? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And
thank you.
In your book, please tell us how the holistic approach, Radiant Bliss offers a holistic approach to yoga, covering the postures and mental and spiritual practices, stress, anxiety, and emotional well-being. This is what yoga truly is all about, isn't it? It has to be holistic. Tell us about this, because many people don't realize that.
Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Yoga is far more than just postures. It's about opening our hearts, opening our minds. There's some enormous transformative power in just relaxation, yogic relaxation. And so few people, I've seen so many yoga classes where people do the postures and then they're all out the door and but relaxation is really important for getting in touch with your spirit. You can there are so many pathways. I think that's the fact of yoga. But one of the things you can do is study the ancient texts, read the love poets, read Rumi and Tagore, and study the Gita and read it the way Gandhi did so many times. Perhaps just have one particular sloka that you repeat every day, and just journaling can be an enormous pathway to opening up to yourself. Self-inquiry, of course, is such a useful thing to do. Who am I? Am I my body? I can't be my body. My body doesn't stay the same from day to day. Am I my thoughts? How can I be my thoughts? My thoughts are constantly changing. Am I my emotions? How can I be my emotions? My emotions don't stay stable. And then you eventually just get down and down and down, and you keep asking. And that's just another route back to the source, back to soul. You become to realize that what you are in essence is just a true, radiant, blissful being. But it's, of course, it's very hard to keep that in mind day after day, every day, isn't it? It's being awake all the time that is the challenge.
That's it. That is. And that's how the Buddhists say it as well, don't they? To be mindful in everything we do. So instead of being, what you are doing in that moment, be mindful of that. So you're not in the past, you're not in the future, you're in the now, you're mindful of it, you're putting all of your energy into that, which brings the peace.
And learning to embrace silence, I think, is such a valuable thing to do. I was on a bear it. I can't sit there with my own thoughts. It's
Sorry, Sue. It just went out a little bit there.
People just say they can't sit there with their own thoughts because it's too uncomfortable for them. But if you can learn to embrace silence, I think that is one of the most healing things you can possibly do, or at least it was for me anyway.
Definitely, because I really feel that when you learn to have that silence, you know, prayer, you're praying for and visualizing and feeling, you know, the wonderful life and the things, and giving out that to all the people, that beautiful energy. And then I believe that, you know, when you have that still mind is so important, because then you become a channel. Then the divine can come in, divine intelligence can come in. You know, it can't come in when it's a monkey mind. There's no space to receive, you know. So, and I think that it's the biggest healer for me to have that. I do that every day, go within and touch that energy and open my place up and just be there here in the third eye with that light. And I can just feel it opening and feel it coming in, you know, and then it will help us and guide us to our true path.
Exactly. I talk about the koshas in Radiant Bliss, and the fourth of the koshas, the layers of our being, is the intuitive layer, the Vijnanamaya kosha. And that's what we can awaken when we start to do a lot of meditation and a lot of yoga and a lot of reflection and contemplation and meditation, because that's when we start to get in touch with the intuitive side of ourselves. And all of a sudden we know what we need to be doing, or we know what's wrong, or you'll get little signals, you know, thoughts just come to you out of the blue that you never would have considered before. And that's what yoga can do as well.
That's right.
And the other thing it can do is that I don't think people fully understand is that it can teach you how to control your emotions and change your emotions. And that is such a healing thing to do, when you can amplify any feelings of happiness or joy you're feeling, or turn feelings of pain or anger or anxiety or jealousy into something else. And yoga can teach us all of that as well.
That's right, because it helps you to master your emotions, doesn't it? You know, and that's what they say, you know, to master your thoughts, feelings, words and actions is really important, because then you're not giving out or causing any more karma in your, you know, life or the future, you know, because you're making all of your thoughts, feelings, words and actions more of a sacred nature, righteous nature.
Exactly right. Yes, and that gets in touch with your true self. Wow. I had an interesting experience, and this is going a little bit personal, but I had a journey through cancer about 8 years ago, where I had to have my colon, my sigmoid colon removed, and then 6 months of chemotherapy. The last month nearly killed me. The last treatment, I ended up in the hospital for 5 days in intensive care because I couldn't eat, couldn't drink, had no potassium, no vitamins, you know, nothing in no magnesium, I was that far away from a heart attack, according to the doctors. And then I sat down and wrote this book. And I did an interview a little while later about the book. And I was talking about this experience, and I realized that I completely forgot to mention it in the book at all. In Radiant Bliss, I didn't mention my cancer journey at all, because that's the resilience yoga gives you. It had passed through my life. It was an experience and it was gone. I'd just forgotten all about it.
But it's amazing that you overcome it. And do you realize that yoga and your meditative, you know, your yogic lifestyle and your meditation, that was the thing that cured you?
Absolutely. I couldn't have endured what I went through 20 years ago, 30, 40 years ago. I just couldn't have done it. It was the yoga and the spiritual training that you get when you're doing serious yoga. It was that spiritual training that got me through and helped me to endure the experience. Gratitude was what saved me as well. I had a wonderful husband who was looking after me. He tells me I'm not supposed to say this, but he was so beautiful. And it was that gratitude, I think, was incredibly healing for me.
And also realizing the reason why, because there's always a reason why these things come to us. They teach us that, greatest teachers.
Absolutely. It's a gift. I see all of those experiences in my life as gifts to help me grow. And some people will say this is kooky, but I strongly suspect, if not firmly believe, that we choose to come into a life, we choose the parents that we become and the experiences that we're going to have during this life. And that's the contract we make, that yes, this is where I'm going to be, and these are the lessons that I'm going to try to learn and see if I can't end this life a lot more wise and more spiritually connected than I was when I started.
And I think that is so honorable to have that realization of why this came to me, how I can heal it, and to bless it. Because you knew, it's like to me with all of my things, I have to let them all go, and I bless them all, because I wouldn't be the yogini that I am today. I wouldn't be who I am today, without them.
That's beautiful. That's a really lovely approach. And yes, that's exactly what I do as well. Yeah.
Wow. It's so amazing. It's so amazing. It really is. And so in your book, it's like your mythic, the stories. Please tell us about some of the stories from your book that demonstrate the transformative power of yoga in real life, because this is fascinating.
I will tell you about my good friend Lynette Dickinson, who was one of my yoga teachers in Dru. When Lynette started her teacher training, I think probably a decade before I started mine, she had multiple sclerosis. She was in a wheelchair. She had to have somebody help to feed her because she couldn't do the only way she could get nourishment was through a straw because she was that handicapped. And she sat at the back of the yoga teacher training modules. There were 9 4-day modules, I think, spread over a month each, so 9 months of that. And by the time she was halfway through the course, she was out of the wheelchair. By the time she finished the course, she was standing up and doing the assessment with everybody else and passing brilliantly. She's been skiing. It was visualization and the power of visualization. She'd sit there and she'd visualize doing the practices, and it just made amazing impact on her neural networks. She developed new neural pathways, and it just healed her. Basically, she doesn't have that worry anymore. And as I say, she does downhill skiing. She's just an incredible woman, and she's a wonderful yoga teacher too.
That is unbelievable. And it's the power of the feeling and the visualization that comes together, that we push out, and seeing ourselves in the end, seeing ourselves healthy, seeing ourselves in that place as already the yoga teacher and doing all of that. It's powerful. Our consciousness is powerful.
And yet we don't realize it. We've been not trained to understand the true power that we have. In fact, I think a lot of the systems that we grow up in try to disempower us, whether consciously or unconsciously.
Exactly.
And certainly organized religion tends to do that.
They take
a heck of a lot. Yeah,
definitely. Because, I think that's the worst thing. That's the worst conditioning of the human that we've had as in the human race, is to be told that we're unworthy, that we're sinners, and we're not divine. We don't have the God flame within us, the God goddess flame within. I think that has done the most damage to the whole of our world. And that's why I think that we're in, the world's always awakening, but I think we're in a real fast acceleration of this awakening now, because so many people are realizing they have this power within them. If they go within, if they just start to connect to their higher self, to the God, to the divine, then they can heal themselves, help heal the world, and, you know, raise the vibration of the whole entire planet.
And I think just the way technological change is accelerating every day, and the things that are happening technologically are absolutely astonishing. I think the same acceleration is definitely happening with hearts and souls being awakened.
Yes.
It's exponential, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's happening, like you said, on all levels. It's happening in education. It's happening in politics. It's happening in, you know, the monetary, everywhere, spiritually, you know, university, everywhere, science, you know, on all levels. You know, it really is a fascinating time to be alive at this time, to do our work.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you familiar with the yogic concept of the yugas?
Yes.
Yes.
Please describe them a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. Well, in the yogic view of the world, time isn't linear, it's circular. And there are 4 different phases of time that last over absolute millenniums. And the most advanced period of all is called Satya Yuga. And that's when people lived for a very long time, like the rishis, and they were able to go into forests and meditate because they lived for years, you know, hundreds and hundreds of years. And they were incredibly in touch, incredibly spiritually advanced. And then things start to deteriorate as we head into Krita Yuga, I think, is the next one. Krita Yuga, people tend to go into a little bit more ritual, their religion, they're much further away from the source of their godliness. And then we go through yet another yuga, and then we come to the yuga that we're in now, which is Kali Yuga. And Kali Yuga is when we're totally divorced from God. We're much more prone to conflict. We really don't understand anything about who we are or what we are. And people very much differ about the time. Because this is circular, we're now heading back into Satya Yuga, which is the time of awakened beings, and more people are going to start heading into awakening, but who knows how close that is. People differ, as I say, but 4,260,000 years, I think, is a cycle. So it takes a while. But according to my guru's philosophy and my philosophy, we just keep going round and round and round anyway. So, you know, we've been in Treta Yuga before, we've been in Kali Yuga before, we've been in Satya Yuga before, and now we're heading back to Satya Yuga again.
and that's why I think that we can feel this, you know, and I think that's why at this time, the yogis that become awakened can't sit in their caves all day long. You know, it has to be, we have to give out the knowledge that we have. It's a responsibility to the human race to give out that knowledge and that divine wisdom and the healing, because we're all healers, you know, and we're all can be awakened beings. You know, we just have to find the discipline that works for us and actually do the work, do the inner work of meditating every day and of practicing every day. And yeah.
And it's not always easy to find that discipline. Sometimes it can be quite challenging to get up, especially in winter in Canberra in the mornings. It can be quite challenging to keep that discipline up, but the rewards are just so enormous, don't you find, when you do meditate? And I talk about it in my book a bit, about losing your meditation muscle if you leave it too long. It's something that you do need to keep topped up, I think, your quota of meditation in a day or a week or a year. But but it doesn't have to be long, does it?
No.
I think if all you've got is 5 minutes, 5 minutes is perfect.
As long, you know, and I think that the more you do it, the more you train your body, mind and soul to go straight in. And then once you go straight in, you're really in that beautiful place, and you're touching, you know, the light, the bliss, the radiant bliss that you're touching. You know, the divine love light energy is radiant bliss, and you're in there, and nothing in the 3D world can give us that, can it, Sue?
Oh,
Nothing
no.
can give us that.
No, it definitely can't, because nothing in the 3D world is, well, according to yogi philosophy, nothing in the 3D world is real, because nothing is real that's non-permanent. And the only permanent thing in life is our sweet, sweet souls.
And that's so true. And that's what they call it Maya, don't they? The 3D
Yep.
world, they call it Maya. And I call it like the egoic matrix as well. That's what it is, because it's about temptation, taking you, you want this, you want sex, you want alcohol, you want, consumerism. It's all designed to take you away from the self, to take you away from the peace. Yeah.
And nothing ever satisfies you.
No.
You crave, and you address the craving. You want the car, so you buy the car. But you're not going to be happy with that car forever. The excitement of having the car is going to fade really fast, and then you're going to be wanting the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And that's the ego, isn't it? It's just a creature of insatiable desires, and we have to learn that the ego isn't us, so there's no point in trying to satiate the ego, because it can't be done.
That's right. That's right. We have to use the ego as a tool for living in this world, because we need it but we have to realize that we control that, and that's why we need to come in and know thyself, going within, for that meditation. It's about training ourselves, isn't it? Training ourselves to do that every day. That spiritual discipline, because the only thing we want truly, when we're looking for them things out in the 3D, is spiritual fulfillment.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not that hard to do once you decide that that's your goal. There's, what's the phrase? Mamukshatan. You need to have that intense desire, don't you? And once you've got that intense desire, nothing's going to stop you, and the rewards start to come.
That's right. That's right. That's right. It's so beautiful, and that's why this time that we live in is so important. So please give us a few tips from your book that for our audience that they can do to begin to get into their yoga journey, their yoga practice, and also, a little bit for the meditation as well.
Yeah, okay. Well, there are so many different ways to start a yoga path. I relate in Radiant Bliss how for the first 10 years or more of my yoga practice, I was practicing to videos and audios at home. That was back in the day when they were just starting to have online yoga studios. I was a member of 4 of those. But there are classes on every street corner these days, aren't there? Yoga classes. So it's not very hard to find a yoga class, and shop around if you do decide to go to a physical class, because there are lots and lots of different brands of yoga, different styles, and not everyone's going to suit you, but you'll find one. You will definitely find a style of yoga that suits your needs. I recommend Dru personally, because that's just caters for everybody. And
please tell us about Dru Yoga. Yeah.
Okay. Well, Dru was it's headquartered in Wales. It's 40 years old these days, today, I think. And it started out with some incredibly spiritually knowledgeable people who used to go around to war zones doing de-traumatization work, giving people Dru yoga practices. And they did that for many, many years, and it was incredibly powerful, incredibly effective. And now they've got places all over the world, headquarters all over the world. And here in Australia, there's a very strong Dru yoga community. But it's a very gentle style of yoga. It's a very heart-centered style of yoga. And it's a deeply spiritual side of yoga. And I didn't really understand how heart-centered and deeply spiritual it was until I'd finished my teacher training, went on to do my meditation teacher training, did my Steps to Enlightenment course, there's quite a number of them. Anyway, yeah. But there are so many different ways to get into yoga, and you will find a way. But another simple thing to do is to just spend time in nature. There is so much value in just being out, by a river or a creek or by the seaside. Personally, I go out, and in Canberra, I'm blessed. I have about 20 species of birds that visit our garden over the course of the year. I've got this glorious tree, a paperbark tree, and a swinging hammock chair. And I go out there and I just meditate under this tree, listening to the birds. And it just takes me deep, 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 deep. Getting in touch with nature is just so important. And it's particularly hard, I know, for a lot of people living in urban environments, but whenever you can, do it.
I think Mother Nature, I think she calls us to her when the time is right. She calls us, and it's almost like she heals us. She calls back all those parts of ourselves, our soul that we gave away to people, places and things, and she brings us back and she helps us heal. That's why it's so important to, walk barefoot and to touch the trees and to immerse yourself in that, because she truly, truly, if you allow her, well, she calls you at the time when you need her the most.
Absolutely. And that's why you have things like, salutes to the earth and salutes to the sun and all of those, salutes to the moon, in fact, that we do a lot of in our yoga practice, because it's just that being in touch with nature and, our natural world, because we're all a part of that natural world and we forget that we are.
And, for me, the divine, God, goddess, source, universal consciousness is the divine love light energy in every single living being, in a blade of grass, in the tree. And they are amazing silent beings. They have the akashic records within them of the earth, They are just, and when you can tap into that, it's so beautiful.
And when you know that tree roots and mushroom roots and fungi all communicate with each other under the earth. Did you know that if a tree is being chopped down or damaged, it sends out a signal to all of the other trees in the neighborhood saying, watch out, this is happening, you better keep an eye out. And they communicate with each other. The fungi communicate with each other with these massive networks of intelligence. There's so much we don't know. And then we look at the intelligence of birds. We look at the intelligence of cows and elephants who mourn their calves. And I just think we don't give nearly enough credit or understanding for the creatures of this planet.
And also they all have souls. If you look into
the
soul of the dog's eyes, it's the same as that cow. And for me, that's why we have to learn to treat the animals in the earth in a more beautiful way, because I think if we stopped the mass killing scale, and became more vegetarian, we would be more peaceful with each other.
Absolutely. And I do think about the karmic consequences of all of the meat I used to eat back in the day before I was aware of these things. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think a vegetarian lifestyle is the best possible thing to do. And then you say sorry to the plants for causing them pain.
That's right. And also, we believe, in my yogic training as well, they said that when that animal is murdered, all the pain energy goes into its muscles, and then people eat the muscle, and then it disturbs their emotions, it disturbs their thoughts and feelings, and you can see the aggressiveness because it's not good ethically and it's not good spiritually. And I believe if you eat flesh, you're a burial chamber. That's what Pythagoras said. You're a burial chamber for dead animals. And also, I don't believe you can hold the divine in your bodily vessel, if you have that flesh. It's just my thought. It's my feeling.
No, I agree with you. I think that's very, very true. I hadn't heard that about Pythagoras, but I love that saying. That's brilliant.
I know. Amazing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I think the world, we're evolving. We're not cavemen anymore.
unfortunately, too many of us are still ruled by hippocampus, but no, we're not cavemen anymore. We should be capable of much, much better. Yeah.
But as you said, we are in a place of, heightened awakening. And I feel that, it's going to be tremendous in the next 10, 20 years to see this coming through, because I think that, our scientific and our technology in other older civilizations was too much. But I think that's why we have to balance it. It's all about the balance of the spirituality. We have to raise our vibrations spiritually to be in balance. Do you think?
Yeah, I do think it's very precarious times that we're living in, of course. Who knows what's going to be happening with Iran and Israel over the next few years. But it's just, I struggle actually with knowing how much to be involved in world affairs and how much to be separate from world affairs. But I just see that all of us who've got the inclination just do have a soulful duty to try to raise the vibrations of those around us, to share our love with people we see, to show compassion, show understanding, and try to infect other people with the same.
That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for, to turn our light on. And then we lead by example, and we give out the wisdom that we've had, and we help others to turn their lights on as well. That's
certainly the hope, isn't it? That's what we'd love to think we can achieve. Yeah,
that it's just so beautiful. It really is, and I totally, believe in this time that we're in. I've got so much hope for humanity, but I also believe that the darkness, because there's good and evil in this world, and I believe that the darkness and the evil has to come to the surface. We have to see it. We have to experience it. It has to get so bad, as in World War III. It has to get to the point, because at the point of the precipice, only then do people wake up and say, no more, enough is enough. And we're just a peaceful humanity, and we wish to go that way, because, it's and then it forces the awakening.
It does. All of the teachers in my Sangha, in fact, are absolutely confident that things are unfolding exactly the way they need to be unfolding. And so I take comfort from that. I bow to their knowledge and I respect their understanding. And so if they believe that things are happening because they have to happen, I'm perfectly happy to accept that that's true.
Exactly. And then as that happens, I believe that then we can build the new upon that. We can't build the new on that darkness, because it would just rise again and again and again,
Indeed.
One of my gurus said, and I loved his slogan, earth peace through self-peace.
Yeah, this is it, isn't it? Yeah. The first thing we have to do is to find our own center in our core and just stay there as much as we can. Use our meditation to raise our vibration, as you say, to bring the light down into ourselves, and to just consciously try to send that light out to other people around us as much as we can.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. And Sue, please tell us, where can we read your amazing book, Radiant Bliss, Yoga Journey for the Modern Soul?
Well, it's a bit strange, actually, because it's coming out in the UK this Monday on the 24th.
Wow.
So it's available for pre-order from Amazon UK now. It's also available for pre-order from Amazon in the US, but it doesn't come out there till the 29th of July, June. And then in Australia, which is really frustrating, it's not going to be coming out until September 29th.
Wow.
But it is available for pre-order here too. So,
but I will upload this beautiful interview that we've had, and that will come out next Sunday.
Oh, brilliant! That's perfect timing.
Yes,
that's fantastic.
And it will be on YouTube, and it'll be all through the radio and the podcast on Spotify, Amazon. So I will have the description and how to, get your book in the description. But please tell us, so it'll be on Amazon. Do you have the website?
Barnes and Noble. It'll be in a lot of physical bookstores in the UK, I understand. I think Apple Books, Google Books for the ebook, if you want the ebooks. I must admit, I like the ebook myself. I prefer to read ebooks than physical books these days. But yes, so you've got the choice now. That's the ebooks just become available, I believe. Yeah. And Collective Ink, you can get it from. There are a couple of other physical bookstores in the UK. What's the UK, the big UK bookstore I'm trying to think of? Anyway, Watkins Books, yes.
Yeah, Watkins, yeah.
It will also be available there.
That is absolutely wonderful. Well, Sue, it's been a wonderful, really enlightening chat about yoga and your beautiful book, Radiant Bliss, because everyone can reach that radiant bliss within. So thank you for being on the Great Awakening show.
Thank you so much. And I think you're doing a marvelous job. I'm absolutely delighted that you're doing your show, and please keep up the excellent work.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much.